Sponsored by Bangkok Bank, the Sukhothai Residences, SIPA New Decade Innovation, and Magnolia's Ratcharamri Boulevard.
Good morning, ASEAN. Freshen up your world, your thought, and your idea with us every weekday from 7:30 to 8 a.m. I'm Patsurang Desha Puttarangsi.
And I'm Rina Dubertsit. It's Tuesday, the 24th of September. Let's start first with Myanmar.
Yeah,
Patsurang.
With the opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi, as she has pledged to push ahead the efforts to amend her constitution, the country's constitution, before the election in 2015. Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy considers the current constitution undemocratic because it gives the military a substantial percentage of parliamentary seats and disqualifies Suu Kyi from running for president. Suu Kyi told a news conference in Singapore that there will be problems if the constitution is not changed before 2015, but added it was a bit premature to say what would happen. Myanmar's parliament established a committee in July to review the constitution. The committee includes lawmakers from all parties in parliament, including Suu Kyi's party and President Thein Sein ruling union, Solidarity and Development Party, along with the military's allotted representatives. Still with the Myanmar updates, as the House Speaker Thura U Shwe Mann is on an official visit in Thailand, aiming to learn from Thailand's leaders in moving the country toward democracy. Myanmar's House Speaker Thura U Shwe Mann, accompanied with MP delegations, made an official visit to Thailand from September the 22nd until 26th after departing from Brunei. This morning, he was welcomed by Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra, yesterday morning, as the government house, while both parties held a bilateral meeting stating that Myanmar would learn from Thailand's experience in adopting democracy. Myanmar urges the cooperation from Thailand in terms of speeding up Dawoi's special economic zone, while Myanmar House Speaker also invites for Thai private sectors to invest in the infrastructure projects around the Dawoi SEZ. The Speaker further thanked Thailand in lifting up the quality of life of Myanmar migrant workers and to support national verification process of the workers. Later on, he met with both House Speakers of Thailand at the Parliament, where both sides discussed a wide range of issues, vowing to bring up the ties of both Parliament to another level. He is also scheduled to visit Charan Pokapan Company today, and on Wednesday, the Thai oil company in Siracha, Chonburi Province, Maptaput Industrial Estate, and the BLCP Power. He'll be leaving to Malaysia on Thursday.
Our reporter Kun Nadi had an interview with the Myanmar House Speaker. Let's take a look.
Thailand go bajau la dala shin.
Thailand go mấy suy là phơi Thái Lan nga lúc đó ye sao ye chết đi go la li la đấy. Thái bị đuôi ye anh Thái đi go li la đấy. Thái ốc chơi ye phơi gì mà go li la đấy. Bajau le số đó. Thái Lan nga phong biểu tốt đến đi lúc. Cái đi cả tuổi trông cao này tuổi già đi xí mẹ thèn đồ la ra ba. Phơi gì bông chơi gan uri tuổi li la tông đại gì comedy phơi gì bì bì. Trôi xa bì rồi lấy là tông đàn đi vào đấy. Này ngàn đam nhai đi cả cha đấy, khuyên gì đi, lúc mua xí vay bùa đi, nhận giống phong biểu tốt đấy lâu mấy, bùa lâu nhiều gì đấy, phim nhà lâu phim mấy.
Let's now move on to Thailand, as the country's opposition Democratic Party has proposed an alternative plan for the government's 2 trillion baht proposed infrastructure development projects. The plan, called The Future That We Choose, a Strong 2020 Thailand, was revealed after a 3-hour meeting. Democrat Party leader and former Premier Abhisit Wechashiwa, his Deputy and Finance Minister Gon Jatikawanit, as well as former Deputy Bangkok Governor Samat Ratchaphonsit were at the press conference. The plan is a response to the government's proposed 2 trillion baht in projects to develop Thailand's transportation infrastructure. Apisit said his party wanted to offer a choice for the future. It criticized the government's 2 trillion baht plan for the next 7 years as being based on the belief that the kingdom's road and rail system was inadequate. Apisit argued that Thailand could be strong if its people were strong. He called on the government to be transparent about its proposed loans and assure the public there would be enough money for them. The Democrat plan proposes 1.2 trillion baht for transportation infrastructure, 400 billion baht investments in education, research and development, 200 billion baht for irrigation system, and 200 billion baht for public health. Well, within the budget plan for education, Apisit proposed 150 billion baht for the creation of science schools and research universities and 50 billion baht for vocational colleges. Another 110 billion baht was proposed to create a new breed of teachers and a teaching excellence center. Then there would be a 90 billion baht for basic educational apparatus. In public health, the Democrats proposed 100 billion baht to be spent to develop 12,000 hospitals nationwide and another 100 billion baht to train the medical personnel. For irrigation, the party proposed 200 billion baht to be spent to irrigate 75 million rais of land nationwide. Apisit said these proposals would be more beneficial than the 2 trillion baht projects proposed by the Yingluck Shinawatra administration. They had greater fiscal discipline, more transparency, and more responsive to the needs of national development. And still in Thailand, the Deputy Prime Minister, Prapasop Surasawadi, has actually calmed down the fear on the floods, as he says that media coverage on floods is causing undue panics as the flooding in Thailand has hit 20 provinces. While industrial estates and households along waterways are bracing for heavy water runoff, the authorities have soothed public figures, saying the situation will not be as bad as in 2011. The situation so far is not as worrying as 2011. It's only that the media is reporting about it so intensely that the public has started panicking, said Plot Pasop, adding that this year the level of flood water was only half of that in 2011. Major dams are still well below their capacity, Plapasop said, adding that rain was mostly falling in areas to the south of the dams. He added that Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra, in her capacity as defense minister, had instructed military units across the country to help flood-affected residents in their vicinity. Plot Pasop, who oversees flood and water management operations, said that though the flooding has not resulted in any casualties, it has brought the situation to a semi-crisis level. All relevant agencies have been instructed to set up coordination centers in order to implement measures and handle emergencies, which will be overseen by a center set up by the government house. Districts in about 20 provinces have been inundated, with several roads left impassable and train services suspended.
Well, so let's see the situation, the flood situation in the Philippines, as monsoon rains pummeled Manila and the nearby provinces of Luzon Island yesterday, triggering flash floods and landslides that killed at least now 20 people. Massive flooding has affected several towns in Zambales province, about 138 kilometers south of Manila, with major roads impassable and low-lying villages submerged underwater. Rescuers recovered 17 bodies from 2 separate landslides in the town of Subic, while 1 more remained missing. Disaster officials said at least 2 people drowned during the heavy overnight rains, while more than 1,000 families sought shelter in evacuation centers. The southwest monsoon, which lasts from June to September, was intensified by tropical storm Pabuk near the coast of Japan and brought torrential rains in Manila and 5 other provinces of Luzon Island. The State Weather Bureau said monsoon rains will continue to affect several parts of Luzon until Wednesday. Monsoon rains in the Philippines have grown fiercer in recent years, with last year's deadliest monsoon submerging the capital and nearby areas, killing more than 50 people and forcing about 270,000 to seek safer ground.
And after the break, Vietnam's foreign direct investment has exceeded its target.
Sponsored by Bangkok Bank, the Sukhothai Residences, SIPA New Decade Innovation, and Magnolia's Ratcharamri Boulevard.
The Philippine government has earmarked 14.4 billion pesos out of the national budget for next year for road projects meant to make tourist destinations accessible. The proposed 2014 budget for tourism infrastructure marked a 20% increase from the 12 billion peso allotted this year, a report from the Investor Relations Office showed. Next year's budget for tourism infrastructure will cover 167 kilometers of roads to be constructed and rehabilitated, all leading to various tourist destinations across the country. The projects will be implemented by the Department of Public Works and Highways. The allocation of a higher budget for tourism infrastructure comes amid pronouncements that the tourism will be one of the sectors to receive more government support in its bid to attain Aquino administration's job creation and poverty reduction goal. Under the Department of Tourism's medium-term plan, jobs in the tourism sector should increase from the projected 4.9 million this year to 7.4 million by 2016.
The volume of foreign direct investment registered for Vietnam has exceeded the year's target, but the country's FDI mobilization still faces many problems ahead. Early this year, the Ministry of Planning and Investment estimated this year's registered FDI capital to be 13 to 14 billion US dollars compared to the 13.01 billion US dollars of last year. However, figures released by MPI's Foreign Investment Agency revealed that FDI poured into Vietnam from between January the 1st and August the 20th amounted to 12.63 billion US dollars, a year-on-year increase of 19.5%. According to the Toi Bao Kin Tay Saigon, or Saigon Economic Times News magazine, newly licensed FDI projects across the country have brought total registered FDI capital to over 14.4 billion US dollars, higher than the year's target set by the ministry. In addition, new projects licensed in other provinces in September have yet to be included. There are still more than 3 months to go, and FDI is forecasted to increase more strongly, meaning the year's total FDI amount will be much higher than the target. Now it's the sixth, I would say, the sixth series of Tibet, the sixth episode of Tibetan series. Today it's about a Tibetan life as a herdsman.
The Tibetan herdsman and his families are the story of locality that did not only meet our expectation of experiencing a true Tibetan livelihood, but also capture our hearts. In the lush grassland within Lhasa Prefecture, there were two families giving us a wholeheartedly warm welcome into their lovely homes. Flat-roofed fort-style houses can be seen everywhere in the agricultural areas, cities, and towns. The most typical fort is laid with stones, but some are made of earth and wood. They are both warm in winter and cool in summer. The forts are generally multi-story. The first floor accommodates the livestock, while the second is designed for living and storage. The third is a family sutra room enshrining the image of Buddha and the oil lamp. At the house doorstep, this is how we were greeted by a Tibetan girl. Tibetans are the most hospitable group of people living in mainland China. The formal welcome drinks and snacks are more than enough for strangers. Our Chinese translator, who is also a first-time visitor in Tibet, has something to say about this Tibetan cheese, which is a very common snack for people living at high altitude.
It doesn't taste like Western cheese. It's very hard. It's a bit sour. It's a bit sour and quite strong. It's a very strong smell. But it's nice. Nice to try.
The man of the house is more than welcome and joyful to talk to us about life as a herdsman. Simply, he talked about his lifestyle as a tribal herdsman and, of course, the differences between life in a super cold winter and warm summer. But when asked if he has to choose living in the city and here, he simply said, Let's hope traditions of the original Tibetan herdmen stay that way. Patsurang Desha Puttarangsi reports.
That's it for today's edition of Good Morning ASEAN. We'll see you again same time, same place, same channel.
Thank you so much for watching and we now do proceed.
นำพัชสุรางเดชาพุทธรังสีสวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ